Welcome back to Perks Recap Podcast. It is time to review Week 18, the last week in the NFL season. It is over, and it was crazy, of course. With me is Al and Brandon once again. And guys, are you ready to talk some Week 18 and head into the playoffs?
Let's do it.
Darn right.
Oh, yeah. All right. All right. As I said last week, when I first wrote all these down, they weren't in any order. So I might be out of order in terms of when the games were played, but I'm just going to go with what I have here.
No problem.
Okay, no problem.
I think I got some anyway. I think I got the right order. All right. Well, let's start with it. On Saturday, we saw the Buccaneers take out the Panthers 16-14. It was not for the division per se, but the Buccaneers put themselves in a position that maybe they can win that game or win the division. The first step was for them to win the game, and they did. But as we'll find out later, it didn't really work out for them later on anyway. But either way, Tampa 16-14, not that great of a game and not a great showing for anybody really, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much said it. It was an ugly game. It was rainy in the first half, which really was a factor. Some of the balls just kind of got away from guys. It was really weirdly played. And you pretty much said it. Like, it was a game that we kind of thought it was kind of for the division, but then it wasn't. Bucks were celebrating after they won, but then they still had the caveat that the other NFC South teams basically decided their fate, which was weird. But I thought it was just a weird game. Both Baker and Bryce played poorly. There was a really bad Baker pick right in the middle of the field there. And yeah, it just wasn't really a great game for anybody. And Tampa, it was a rough way for them to, even though they won, to kind of like go out. They won, but it didn't feel triumphant because it was such a poorly played game.
And didn't they lose like the 4 in a row before this? Like 6 out of 7 or something?
Yeah, it was
7 out of 8, I think you said last week.
Yeah, I believe it was 7 out of 8.
Yeah, so they really stumbled in. So they, in being honest, they kind of didn't really deserve to go to the playoffs.
Yeah, nobody that goes 8-9, nobody's throwing a pity party for anybody that goes 8-9 and doesn't make the playoffs.
Right. Although Carolina, with the loss, was 8-9 and they're in. So
yes, and we talked off air about because we're going to do our power rankings for the 14 teams that made the playoffs eventually, and we were talking about how hard it was. The easiest thing was putting the Panthers at 14.
Let me see.
I agree with that.
Yeah, that's the one. There's two things I didn't have to think about. I'll hold off on the other one.
Yeah, Carolina was 14. Yep. Okay. Right on.
Yeah. Other than that, this was a kind of game you expected from a bad, like the top of a bad division. It was two mediocre teams playing mediocrely, and the one that lost backdoored into the playoffs. It's kind of perfect.
Yep. I want to move on to the next game because this was much more important. And it was the Seahawks going to San Francisco and winning 13-3. A huge road win. By the way, we all got the Carolina to Tampa Bay game wrong. We all picked Carolina. This one was Brandon and you guys, both of you guys picked San Francisco, and me and Joe picked Seattle. Seattle wins 13-3. This game to me was more about Seattle's defense holding San Francisco to 3 points.
Yeah, I think for me it was the defense and running game. Basically, Seattle won this by controlling the clock, playing good defense. We've talked about a lot of the good running back duos. I think now that Charbonnet's been, killing it now with Kenneth Walker, they're one of the better duos in the league now. And Seattle, to me, just kind of controlled the game in the beginning. When the 49ers tried to run McCaffrey in the beginning and he wasn't really getting much, that kind of took away that weapon that they had. And it's safe to say, Craig, that at least for now, the Purdy party is over.
Yes. Yeah. 19 for 27, 127 yards, no touchdowns. That is definitely not a Purdy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have taken Purdy's side of who was going to play better in this game between him and Darnold. And Darnold didn't have an incredible game, but he clearly outplayed Purdy. The Seahawks just put the brakes on what was looking like just a massive offensive breakout by the 49ers over the last month. They had just been, ever since Purdy came back, and it's the first game he came back was kind of slow, and they were doing pretty good with the old Patriots quarterback. I'm blanking on his name right now.
Mac Jones.
Thank you. They played pretty well with him in there, but Purdy comes back, slow first game, and then they were on fire from that point on. And boy, did Seattle just put an end to that. I mean, they held Christian McCaffrey to 23 yards. This was an astonishing defensive performance. I mean, not unexpected from Seattle because they've been one of the better defenses in football, but to do it to San Fran, the way they've been playing, and Christian McCaffrey, the year he's had and the way he plays all the time is pretty damn impressive.
Yeah, and it seals up the number 1 seed for Seattle. They were on the road and they did this. I mean, what plays well in the playoffs? Defense and the running game. And that's exactly what they used to win this game. And that bodes very well for them in the playoffs, I think.
Yeah, I agree. They're sitting, they've got home field till the Super Bowl. They've got, the two things you mentioned. They have a quarterback who still has to prove it in the playoffs. That's their biggest question mark going in, but everything else is pointing sky high.
I recently, saw the Super Bowl odds, and they are number 1.
Yes.
Yep.
That's a sure. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Let's move on. Okay. Another important one, and this is what determined the NFC North or South division winner. Atlanta over New Orleans, 19-17, thrusting Carolina into the playoffs because it was a 3-way tie between Atlanta, Carolina, and Tampa Bay, and they got the tiebreaker. If the Saints had won, then Tampa Bay would have went in. But anyway, a little surprised. All of us except Al. Al, you picked Atlanta. Everybody else picked New Orleans. I was just going on the New Orleans hype train a little bit and how well they had been playing. And, Tyler Shuck still played pretty well, 23 for 35, 259, a touch, 1 pick. But, Kirk Cousins also had a 1 touch, 1 pick. Atlanta only ran for 49 yards. This was not like a big outstanding game by Atlanta's offense by any means.
It's funny because this game really looked a lot like the Panthers-Bucks game. It was just kind of like an ugly game that just didn't really, neither team looked that impressive. Bijan was shut down. He didn't really have a great game. Shuck, like you said, Craig, Shuck looked pretty decent. Cousins had his moments, but neither one was really that impressive. It was just kind of a ugly game. So yeah, it was very weird, the dealings with the NFC South this week.
Yeah, well put. Yeah, and I just lost my stats. Where did it go? Here it is. Okay. So this was a fascinating circumstance, this whole NFC South thing. The fact that the Falcons ended up with the same record as the Panthers and Buccaneers is borderline astonishing to me, the way the middle of their season went. They were sneakily almost as hot as the Saints going into this game, which is why I went with them, because it was 2 not great teams and they were both hot and one was at home. I got lucky, but that's why I did it. That's the only reason I did it. And it was fascinating. Listen, Kirk Cousins had a nice little run to end the season. He didn't play awful. He played awful his first game back, and then he's been pretty decent ever since. Just okay. Nobody's going to make him their starting quarterback anymore, but he was okay. Better than I think any of us thought he was going to be. The Saints have their quarterback for the future for now. We'll see. He hasn't proven he's a 10-year starter yet, but he definitely proved enough to be the guy moving forward, and I like him a lot personally. And yeah, I just this is 2 teams. This is this is also the first game where we lost a coach afterwards. And do we want to get into that as they come up, or do we want to wait to talk all about all of that in one chunk? What do you think?
Let's do that all in one chunk.
Okay, good enough then. Then we'll come back to that later. So yeah. Other than that, just a clunky game between two mediocre teams whose arrow, especially the Saints, I think, is pointing up.
Yep. I will say, yardage-wise, the Saints outgained them by a significant margin, 340 to 208. That's all Atlanta had on offense, 208.
It's weird. It was one of those stat line doesn't add up at the end.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on if you guys are ready.
Mm-hmm.
Get to one that didn't matter, but was surprising to me, and also a record was broken, and that is the Browns 20, the Bengals 18. We all got this one wrong because Cincinnati had been playing well. We all picked them, but within the division, Cleveland plays well against their division rivals, or at least against the Bengals, and sometimes against Pittsburgh too. But regardless, Cleveland gets the win, and he got the sack record. But Al, your big problem with the Giants guy there, Strahan's record was that Favre laid down.
Yeah.
But it looked to me, when I see this, that Burrow laid down.
I didn't see it that way. I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
I could see, I don't know, the way I look at it is if that was not for the record, would he have kind of tried a little harder to get out of there? And I think he would have.
I don't think so. They were in a competitive game down. They were losing at the time, and gave no indication they were trying to lose that game or give anything away.
No. I'm saying that just one particular play.
With 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter, he waited to do it till then when the game's on the line. I just don't see it personally. I respect your opinion, and I see that it's an interesting enough play the way it went down that you can make a case. I just don't agree.
I think that in his head he was thinking if it comes close at any point, I'm going to give it to him.
That's possible, but that's a lot to put in somebody else's brain.
That's true.
The tough thing about this one is Burrow, even though he threw for 236 and 3 touchdowns, this is one of kind of a bunch of games this week where it's like they're trying, but does it really feel like they're really going all out? Like he had a decent game, but it just didn't really feel to me like he seemed kind of disinterested in time. So it's like, was he disinterested for this play? Or was he kind of like, mailing it in for this play, or was he kind of that way the whole game? I don't know. It just seemed it was a strange game. Obviously,
I just wish there was no doubt at all. And to me, there's at least a little bit of doubt.
That's fair. Yeah, it will not bother me for the next 20 years like the Strahan one did. I tell you that right now. Not even close, because that one was obvious. Favre winked. You know what I mean?
Favre went up and talked to him before the play.
Yeah, Favre might as well have just looked right into the camera and said, "I did that on purpose." You know what I mean?
Right.
They couldn't have made it any more obvious. Strahan has talked about it since. You know what I mean? Everybody knows. That's not the case with this one. So there's a reasonable case to be made. I won't dispute that at all, though. I get where you're coming from.
As for the game, you mentioned a little bit about Burrow, 3 touchdowns. Chase Brown had a good day. Jamar Chase, Higgins. On the other side, another one of these games where it doesn't seem to add up. Why?
Yeah, look at those total stats, Craig. I was going to bring that up.
Why Cleveland won this game?
Yeah.
364 yards for the Bengals to 200 by the Browns.
In 35 minutes of possession at 24. How?
Yeah. Cleveland had 2 defensive touchdowns.
Yeah, that's it.
That's what happened.
That's it.
I don't know.
Shedeur Sanders went 11 for 22 for 111 yards, and they won. And you would think, oh, well, maybe the running back had a big game. No, Dylan Sampson had 10 carries for 32 yards. So, yeah, it's all about those defensive touchdowns, no doubt.
All right, that one did not mean a whole lot. Good to see that the record got broken, and a little bit less controversial, Ray, but I still wish it would have been more clean. But either way.
Yeah, that's fair. It really is. I get where you're coming from.
Yeah. Congrats to Myles Garrett.
Yeah, for sure, man. And it's cool that a guy like that got it. It's not some one-hit wonder that we're never going to hear from again. It's a guy who's going right to the Hall of Fame if he retired today.
Yes. No. All right. Another game that didn't really mean much to either team. Green Bay's already in, Minnesota already out. Minnesota gets the win 16-3. Green Bay was another team that looked like they had no interest in playing this game whatsoever. Joe picked Green Bay. We all picked Minnesota. So Joe got that one wrong. But yeah, another game, one of these games that's like, Green Bay just mailed it in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't play their guys. We knew they weren't going to play their guys, which is why we all went with Minnesota. But, I mean, I don't know. Not only did they not play the guys they did play seemed that they did not want to be on the field.
Yeah, Toon played terrible, who was Love's replacement, and Willis's replacement, I guess you could say. Nothing really to say about the Packers side. It was cool to see the Vikings finish the season on a 5-game win streak. They certainly, redeemed their season there. Didn't do enough so that they could get in the playoffs, but a 9-8 record to end the season is pretty impressive given what that game that they got blown out and scored 0 points in the middle of the year. So,
Yep. And, I guess you would say that they do not need a quarterback. Are they going to go with, you think they're going to give McCarthy at least another full year, so hopefully he doesn't get hurt and give him a full year? Or are they possibly in the market for a quarterback?
I think they have to, but they also have to get a better backup than Max Brosner.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. Given where they're going to be drafting, I don't think they're going to take capital and move all the way up and try to get a quarterback. It doesn't really make sense for them, I think, for this year.
Yeah.
This would only be the third year of a top 11 pick. I think he was the number 11, if I remember right, or somewhere right around there. So yeah, they're not giving up on him yet. No way.
When you factor in the sacks, Clayton Tune had -7 yards.
Holy jeez, that's
it was terrible.
He was 6 for 11, 34 yards, but he lost 41 yards and 4 sacks. So he was -7.
That's crazy, dude. And it tells you their whole attitude about this game in general. All you need to know is that they lost by 13 points and they only threw the ball 11 times.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't care who's back there. They don't give a crap if they're only chucking it 11 times. That's amazing. And listen, I'm super impressed with the Vikings, the way they ended this season. They got very little out of the quarterback position this year at all. McCarthy had a couple good games, and that's about it. And they ended up 9-8. Their defensive coordinator, I think, is going to get a head coaching job by Brian Flores. I think he's heading for a head coaching job somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And he should be. I'm very impressed by the way this season ended up for them. I mean, they have a better record than one of the playoff teams. You know what I mean?
Yep. Totally agree. All right. Let's move on to another game that didn't mean anything, but me and Brandon had some interest. 34-17, the Giants. Dallas didn't play a couple offensive linemen, a couple defensive linemen, the running backs, none of them. The top 2 running backs didn't play. And then at halftime, they took out CD, George Pickens, Dak, and anybody who was worth anything. And the Giants took it over. And but for the Giants, I think it's good to get the win on the way out. Just to not have the sour taste going into an off season that's going to be very interesting for them and very important for that entire franchise. So I think for them it was actually meaningful. Obviously for Dallas, it clearly was not. But, Joe Milton, who I was excited to get as a backup, who I was really high on when he was with New England, has not impressed when he was played in the preseason. And in this game either here, he hasn't been that impressive. And I'm surprised because I thought he'd be pretty good as a backup. And so far, no dice.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said pretty much. It was for the Giants. It's like, all right, so the Cowboys were clearly not trying to win that game. So does it give you any momentum? I guess it gives you a little bit. I guess it's nice to just win since we haven't been winning at all. There were a lot of fans who were spoiler alert, the Raiders won. So a lot of fans were like, oh, we could have had the number 1 pick, but the Giants do not win that game. I don't think the Raiders would win that game. So I think it's kind of a cause and effect type of thing. I think we'll see that with a lot of these games kind of this
Well, the
week.
Giants would have been number 2 though if they had lost, and they dropped to number 5.
If they lost and the Raiders won, I think they were going to get the number 1 pick. But
Right. But I'm saying if they had lost and the Raiders lost, the Raiders would still be number 1. But I think you guys would be number 2.
Yeah, my fault. I think the Raiders would have lost. If we had lost, I think the Raiders would have lost. I think they would have not been interested in winning that game at all. But that's just my opinion. I think that look, it was a good win by the Giants, even though the Cowboys clearly weren't trying to win the game. I think between 3, 4, 5, that draft pick doesn't really matter that much. The second pick, where some folks still might trade if Dante Moore comes out, right? I guess that kind of matters, but ultimately it was a good win. The Giants will figure out where they're going in the offseason. We'll talk about the coaching search in our recap of all the coaches that left, although Daboll departed some weeks ago. But good way to, I guess, end the season for the Giants and move on here.
Yeah, Tracy had 100 yards. Olszewski, or whatever his name is,
had
102 yards as well. He looked really, really good. And I haven't mentioned him on the podcast at all, but just in watching the Cowboys games, Ryan Flournoy, however you say his name, he has been really, really good for Dallas. Like the last few weeks, he's been excellent as a third guy. If he led the team in this game, because obviously, the guys didn't play. I would have no problem at all going in with him as the third receiver next year.
How would you feel about him as the number 2? If
that's what I was thinking.
What the space walks?
Well, he's going to walk. I don't want him as my number 2, but
right.
Pickens is not going to be on the Cowboys next year, unless they franchise him,
which is very possible. And you do not. Oh, as an Eagle fan, I would love to see a franchised Pickens playing for the Cowboys next year.
Oh yeah, they'll be all disgruntled.
Because that guy is, they did a good job of getting the best Pickens that's been in the NFL out of him this year, and he's going to get a big contract because of it. And I think they might be better off, letting him walk. He's an interesting cat. He's a great player, but he's a nut. So I don't know. It's fascinating, man. I'm not sure what to make of him. I don't know. Whatever team signs him to be their number 1 receiver is taking an interesting risk. And I can't wait to see how it pans out 3 years from now. You know what I mean?
I can see Dallas getting a number 2 either in the draft or free agency, and then that Flournoy kid being number 3.
Yeah, it makes sense. He emerged this year. I remember early in the season he had that one big game, and we were both like, "Who is this guy?" You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and then you kept seeing his name. No more like massive games, but solid and making an impact. So yeah,
5 for 68, and that kind of feels like what he's been doing.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, you need those kind of guys on a team. So that's perfect. Yeah, it's nice. Yeah, this was interesting season for these two teams. I don't know, man. Fascinating. Giants got a little bit of sunshine at the end of the year. Cowboys just faded. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to make of this whole thing for next year. I'm curious to see where, there's a lot of moving parts between the two teams, as we'll get into later. And I can't wait to talk about it and see where it all lands as we go into the off season eventually.
It will be definitely very interesting.
Yep.
All right. By the way, we all got that one wrong, except Brandon, who picked his Giants.
Yeah, well done. And shame on us for buying into anything Jerry Jones says. He came out. He's like, "We want to win this game. We're going to play." And then they took out their starters at halftime. I mean, how dumb are we for listening to anything he says?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I wasn't. I believe that too. I was just thinking the Giants definitely, as always, want to ruin their draft pick.
Well, you were locked in and knowing what the Giants do to their detriment when they're at the end of their seasons when they're bad. Yeah, I mean, you had like Jedi Giants thing going on,
Yeah, I mean, Kapka's an interim coach too, and interim coaches always want to win because he might not even get another opportunity.
No, that's a great point. Yeah. And we were silly enough to listen to one of the coaches who lies the most constantly. So, it was silly on our part. I never even thought about it. I don't know. I just assumed the Cowboys were going to want to play their guys and try and win just because, but I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking.
So to Craig, does this count as as ending Dak's streak?
I guess it does. He started.
Oh, holy crap.
I know.
He hadn't lost to the Giants in 9 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is crazy. I mean, for me, like, it doesn't count personally, but for him, I guess that's not, it is a stat.
The facts are the facts.
Yeah.
The number, whatever the number was, however many in a row, was when he started. And he started this game.
How about that, man?
Yeah.
I forgot all about that once the weekend started. That's crazy.
His overall record against the NFC East is stupid, too.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's like 36-13 or something dumb, like crazy.
Yeah, it's outrageous.
And all those
In
were
the
probably
regular season.
Eagles losses. I don't think they lost to us or Commanders have a few. Commanders always play them tough. But, but beat us every time we played us, so.
Anyway, by the way, real quick, I listen to this content creator, this NFL content creator. I send Al some of her clips sometimes.
Oh, yeah, she's great.
She does her name is Annie Agar. And she does this weekly NFL meeting thing, and she started this one with the greatest team in NFL history is the Giants when they can when they can lose draft positioning.
Yes, it is. The Giants week 17 and 18 are like the best team in the NFL.
Oh man, that's great. That is great. Yeah, that was funny, man. She's really funny.
All right, let's move on. Jaguars 41, Titans 7. The Jags are rolling. Holy crap. We got this one right, and they have convinced some people, like namely my son Nick. He thinks the Jags are winning everything. He thinks they're winning the Super Bowl. He's that convinced. They are the only team left that have a top 5 offense and a top 5 defense.
Ah, interesting. Okay.
Very impressive.
And Trevor Lawrence, 3 more touchdowns, no picks, 255. He did it without really anything of a running game, although ETN is a pretty solid back. He just didn't have a good game this one. Parker Washington, we've mentioned on this podcast before, great game. They're a force right now, and they're going to be a hard out, and I'm very interested in their first playoff game.
If Trevor Lawrence looked in the last if he looked in the first few weeks like he did the last half of the season, we'd be talking about MVP consideration. He's just played really well.
Yeah, and they would probably be like 15-2 or something.
Yeah. It seems like they figured it out as it went along. I know in the beginning of the year, his receivers were definitely different, so that's definitely something that has changed. And I don't think any of us thought that Parker Washington would be having a better year than the guys who went down, Travis Hunter and
Brian
who they traded out. I'm trying to think of
Brian Thomas, right?
I was thinking of who was I thinking of? I don't know. BTJ too. Yeah. BTJ is not playing well. Has not really been playing that great. He's definitely a part of this team, but he's not the wide receiver 1 that we thought he was going to be at this point. But the Jags they're just playing well. It would be the most Jags thing ever to just stomp on bad teams and then get to the playoffs and lose terribly. But
I hope not.
But this team does seem better than any of the teams that they kind of had in the past. So it was an interesting game. The Titans were 7-0 until Cam Ward went down, and then Brandon Allen was bad after that. So that definitely helped the Jags. But I think the Jags dominate probably either way.
Yeah, man. And hey, you guys, great analysis as usual, but you buried the headline, man. I mean, let's talk about Cam Little, he of the monster foot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's so insane.
I can't believe that people are regularly hitting 60-plus yard field goals in the NFL nowadays. It's just wild. I remember growing up reading about Tom Dempsey, the kicker with half a foot.
Yep, I remember him.
and he kicked a 60-yarder, I think it was, or a 61-yarder, whatever it was, back in the 60s, and then nobody did it for 40 years or whatever.
People are losing their minds saying that his half foot helps him.
Yep, that was the theory. And, hey, maybe he loaded it like the Iron Sheik loaded his boots,
Yeah, he had to click it on the ground like 3 or 4 times,
That's right. Yeah, but it's funny that it's interesting that nobody decided to just lop off half their foot to take advantage of that advantage.
Yeah, you would think. I mean,
oh, I love it. But yeah, that dude, and it's stunning in a league that has Brandon Aubrey in it, that Cam Little now has the 2 longest field goals in the history of the NFL.
Yeah, yep.
Insane.
Brandon Aubrey has the most over 60, I think, but not the longest.
Yeah. I mean, Aubrey, I think, is going to end up with all the records. We'll see. Kickers can fall off the map.
He got 5 over 60. I think that's the record.
Yeah.
But the thing is, he hasn't. The last few weeks, he has not been that great. He has missed a field goal every week, like the last 4 weeks in a row.
Well, yeah, and then kickers can be like closers, man. They can have very short lifespans. They can have their ups and downs. I mean, the Eagles kicker, Jake Elliott, was awesome for the first 6-7 years in the league. He has been an issue the last 2 years, So
Yeah.
it's wild, Aubrey was the best kicker I ever saw for his first 2 seasons in the league. And it's fading a little now. We'll see if he gets back to it. But yeah, it's fascinating. These giant-legged kickers, man.
Yeah,
not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but the game, probably the game of the week, the Ravens game. This is kind of why when you have a kicker who's going for like a 44-yard kick, I believe, why everybody's like, oh, this seems like a foregone conclusion, and you have Harbaugh that might have cost him basically his job, not trying to get it closer. But it's like you take for granted. You're like, all right, well, everyone's making 60-yarders now, so we might as well,
44 is nothing.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, just kind of crazy. We'll get to that, but I just wanted to bring it up in the context of this conversation.
No, that makes sense. Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. Fascinating.
Well, the Jags are 13-4.
Yeah. Wow. Didn't look like it was going to be like that back in early October.
Definitely not.
Wow. Amazing.
All right, let's move on. Texans, they're 12-5. 38-30 over the Colts. Colts put up quite a fight. Surprisingly, Riley Leonard played pretty well. 21 of 34, 270, 2 touches, 1 pick. But overall, not bad. Stroud only threw for 169 and 1. Davis Mills came on and was bad. But they ran the ball pretty well. They ran for 134 yards, and the Colts only ran for 76. Just kind of a nice tidy win for the Houston to take into the playoffs with them, and they're one of the teams I'm excited to see in the playoffs because they're not there every year.
Yeah, Riley Leonard playing that well. I wouldn't put too much into the Houston defense giving up 30 points. Resting Stroud at half, to me, that kind of signifies that, all right, we don't really care that much about this game.
Yeah, they might have rested some defensive players too.
Yeah, I didn't really look into how many they rested, but it's kind of like, all right, once the quarterback goes out, it's kind of like, all right, well, we're clearly not really trying to win this game. So, but they did anyway. And CJ, when he was in there, I thought played well. And it was a well played game by Houston. They did what they had to.
Yeah. If you look at the box score to this game and just see how the scoring went, you think, oh wow, the Colts really put up an effort against a really good team. But everything you guys just said mitigates all that. It was just, Houston was playing the game, but they weren't taking it too seriously. So yeah, it was. I'm with you on not worrying too much about. It's not like that 30-point number is like, oh, the Texans defense is falling apart heading to the playoffs. Nah, this was just a game. Doesn't mean really anything moving into the playoffs to me at all. The fun thing about this one was, and Craig and I share a love for a good name. The Texans' leading rusher in this game was British Brooks.
Yeah. Never heard of him.
British Brooks, baby. Come on.
Never heard of him.
Nope, me either. I didn't either. He played for North Carolina, and
Don't forget their other running back is Woody Marks.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
British
Another
Brooks
great
and
name.
Woody Marks.
What helped the Texans too was don't forget Riley Leonard had 2 fumbles. He lost 2 fumbles.
Right. Yep.
That's what really put them over the top to win the game.
Yep. Good call.
All right. We don't need to go too deep into that one because obviously Houston didn't even want to go too deep into it. Let's see here. Moving on. All right, I've lost my place. Okay. 35-8 Bills over the Jets. But the headline is the New York Jets have completed in a 17-game season and never got an interception all season long. Not one.
And let me interject because they got a heck of a shot because they faced Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah. I was about to bring that up.
Mitch Trubisky torched them.
Torched them.
259 and 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
He was like slinging Sammy ball.
And Ray Davis was running the ball for 151 yards.
Ray Davis could be awesome. I liked Ray Davis coming out, and he's behind one of the best backs in football. That's why people don't know his name yet, but he will be awesome one day.
The Jets got annihilated again. This is 5 weeks in a row. No interceptions again all season. Here's another great stat. Sauce Gardner, when he was with the Jets, even when he was hurt a lot, he didn't play every game, but the Jets were 1-7. And then Sauce Gardner got traded to the Colts. And since he went to the Colts are 1-8. So
Wow.
Sauce Gardner this year is 2-15.
Wow. Time to get some new sauce.
Yeah.
Not great for him.
That's funny, man. Did you see, by the way, we talked about the total yard stats in a couple of these games not adding up. This one definitely added up. Bills 470 to the Jets 122 total yards.
Yeah.
122 total yards by a professional football team.
Oh, man. It's crazy. Let's talk about somebody laying down for a record. Josh Allen came in for what? Was it one play or was it one series?
One snap.
What, one snap? It was just trying to get like his consecutive games.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Oh, that's like, I don't know if either you or basketball guys or ever were. I'm not as much anymore, but I was back in the day. And I remember, do you guys remember AC Green by any chance?
Yep.
That dude had that record going, and he would literally, like, he'd be like 37 years old. They'd put him in for 12 seconds, take him right back out, record still intact.
Yeah, that's why I hate these things. Like that's not a real game played. So I just thought that was really interesting. I think James Cook only played one series as well. So these teams at the end of the year, week 18, they kind of play a little deception game of, oh yeah, we're really going to try hard. And then they just take their guys out.
Yep.
It's tough to figure. Yeah.
One last stat on the Jets. They lost 5 games in a row by 23 or more points. And they are the first team ever to do that.
And I'm going to say this now because I don't want to forget it during our coaching discussion. Aaron Glenn surviving this year was one of the more surprising outcomes of this entire Black Monday.
Shocking to me.
Right on. Okay. I was curious where you guys would be on that, and I was stunned.
Yeah.
I don't see how you can defend it, but it's a lot like the Giants keeping Joe Shane. So
Yeah, that's fair. Very fair.
Right. Yeah, I'm not entirely. I guess I'll hold it for the coach thing, but I'm not entirely sure he's going to ultimately survive.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, because that will happen sometimes. So yeah, cool. Well,
one more question.
Definitely later.
Yeah. One more question on the Jets. Do you guys think they're number 2 overall? Do you guys think that regardless of if Dante comes out or not, do you think they're still going quarterback regardless, or where do you see it?
Oh, that's a great question. I would think if it's Dante, it's a lock. If not, it gets a little more interesting. What do you think, Craig?
Yeah. Dante's a lock if he's there. If he's not, I bet you probably not. I wouldn't be surprised if they trade out of it, get even more assets, and then next year with the 3 first rounders that they have already, trying to move up to number 1 and take Arch.
Yeah, if they don't end up number one naturally. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
If they continue that December, January trend, they're heading in the right direction for that. Holy moly.
Yeah. So I think I think that makes a lot of sense. You know, if they don't believe in the quarterback, move down, get some more assets. Yeah, I think that makes sense.
And you never know, man. I mean, like, nobody, almost nobody anyway, saw, for instance, the Vikings taking J.J. McCarthy that
Right.
year, two
Yeah.
years ago. So it's very possible that whoever the 3 through 5 quarterbacks are right now, because you ask 10 different people, you get 10 different answers right now. That's going to clarify itself over the next couple months. And maybe they trade down into the bottom half of the top 10 or a little or even lower and snag one of these guys that nobody's talking about right now. That's very possible as well. You never know.
Yeah.
Yep. And also, if you do get more assets, and even if they don't, 3 first-round picks in next year's draft is going to be appealing to some coach.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, they're loaded they are stocked and ready.
So
It's
even
interesting
if
to
Glenn
see.
survives this year, next year they can get fired, and they can dangle that in front of whoever that we have 3 first-round picks coming up.
Yeah. No, that's a fascinating thing, and it's a good point, and I am very curious to see between now and then what happens. I mean, is Arch really going to be the clear number 1 overall? He played a lot better in the second half of the season and started to look like that guy a little more. But it's far from a done deal yet in my mind, at least as far as how he's played. So,
Right.
so I can't wait to see where it lands. And if there is Arch that guy? Is there another guy? Do they decide to do it? If there is that guy, there's a lot of fascinating things going on. And do they end up with a quarterback this year? And none of this matters. I don't know. It's going to be fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to Detroit 19, Chicago 16. This game meant something to Chicago, right? About being the number 2 seed, or were they number 2 anyway?
Well, it would have if a team we haven't talked about yet didn't decide to not play their damn players and just hand it to them.
Yeah. I know. It was a weird subplot of this whole day is that it didn't seem like anybody in the NFC wanted that number 2 seed. It just seemed like the Bears weren't playing well. Eagles rested their guys. It was just really weird.
Very strange, man. Very strange. Yes. This was
with who was the number 7, not that I'm saying the Packers are bad, but they're kind of banged up and everything. Like, I would think that you would want the 2 seed.
To me, going in now, maybe
and having home field advantage.
Right. Yeah. To me, it looked like a huge difference before last week, and still pretty big to me that you would want to play the Packers, not the 49ers. Maybe some people have a different opinion on that. I'm open to that for sure, but to me, it was clearly I would rather play the Packers. So now maybe after losing to the Seahawks 16-3, maybe people have a different take on that, but I still think that. So it was a very odd thing to me. We'll get into that more when we get to the Eagles game, but yeah, though the Bears seemed semi disinterested as well. They played their guys at least.
Yeah.
Caleb, 212 yards, 2 touchdowns, a pick. They only ran for 65 yards, not much to write home about receiving wise. Goff, 331, a touch and a pick. Gibbs had 80 yards. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 11 catches, 139 yards. So Detroit did what Detroit does. And it is weird to me that they are not in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But they had 433 yards to Chicago's 270 in 35 minutes of time possession to 24. So this was a thorough win. And you're right, Chicago might have played their guys, but it does seem like they were kind of disinterested.
Yeah, this was fascinating. It just encapsulates the Lions season perfectly. And it's like the numbers they put up should have led to a lot. The yardage they put up should have led to a lot more than 19 points. They still won the game and they owned a playoff team. Nothing added up right about this season for the Lions. They ended up 9-8 out of the playoffs. They felt like this roster feels like they should have a minimum of 11 wins. maybe more like 12 or 13 to me. I don't know, man. It was a very strange season, hard to figure. The Dan Campbell, who I get a charge out of, I love this guy. He's priceless. I love a Dan Campbell press conference. I love a good quote about, he had that guy, somebody wanted to bite his knee on his porch one time at a press conference. I mean, he says some crazy ass stuff, and I love it. But the dude's got to rein in these fourth down, going for it stuff. I mean, they're going for it 7 times as much as any other team in football. It's crazy. So it's just a fascinating situation down there. I can't wait to see what happens moving forward. They have one of the best offenses, certainly in the entire league, and they should be a lot better.
Yep. Just to a little housekeeping here. We all got Houston right. We all got Jacksonville right. And we all got Buffalo right. I haven't been saying it the last few times. And in this one, we all got this one wrong. We all picked Chicago.
Okay. I couldn't remember if anybody picked the Lions. All right.
Well, yeah, I mean, but Chicago was playing so well, so it made sense.
No, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Broncos 19, Chargers 3. Denver does what Denver does. We all picked this one correct. And why don't you guys take it away? I'm still gathering some stats and stuff.
Denver did what they needed to do. It's kind of been their MO lately. The offense plays just good enough. The defense is pretty dominant. And they took care of business to get the 1 seed. I mean, it helped that the Chargers rested everyone. And Trey Lance, I mean, he had his moments, but wasn't, phenomenal. So yeah, that was pretty much it. Denver has an elite defense, one of the top units in the league.
Yep, 14-3, number 1 seed, like you said. So they needed the win. They played their guys. The Chargers are in, but they did not need the win. And Herbert is banged up with that hand anyway, so it was probably a benefit to him to not play.
Yeah, no doubt. They needed to give him the time off, and that might help them gather themselves for the wild card round. We'll see. I don't know how bad. I don't know how much he's going to get out of 1 week off in a very difficult, tough sport with a broken hand, but we'll see. It was kind of fun getting to see Trey Lance play, although unfortunately for him, he had to do it against the Broncos. But yeah, no, this was just the better team just whooping up on a team that wasn't trying. So yeah, it was not a whole lot to say about this other than Broncos heading into the playoffs as a very interesting team. Very interesting team. They're the number 1 seed. I don't think anybody is respecting them like a number 1 seed very much. And understandably, I like them a lot, but I don't love them. Their defense is incredible. Their offense is shaky. They're very much like the Eagles in a lot of ways, actually. Maybe a little better version of the Eagles. So it's interesting. I don't know what to make of them going in. They're a really fascinating team trying to figure out heading into the playoffs, and interesting to have that many questions on a team that went 14-3.
Well, that's the thing is there's so many questions about everybody. There's nobody that I feel really confident about. Nobody.
Yep.
Everybody's at least a little shaky.
That's right. Yep. That's absolutely right. There's no juggernaut. I've been saying that for a couple months now, and I am sticking to it. I'm with you 100%. This is as wide open as of a playoffs as I remember in quite some time.
Yeah, because every time you feel good about somebody, they lose.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the year the Roethlisberger Steelers won when they went 9-7 and they won as a wild card back in the aughts. I remember that one feeling pretty open. Not that I thought the Steelers were going to win. I'm not claiming that. I'm not that smart. But that one felt fairly open. There wasn't a juggernaut. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's wild. I don't know. This is going to be very interesting. And anybody that picks the Super Bowl winner in this one before the playoffs start is awesome.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Moving on. Oh, there we go. Raiders 14, Chiefs 12. Unbelievable. Dylan Carlson hits a 60-yarder at the end to win the game. I thought the Chiefs had it when it was 12-11. But the Raiders already knew that I think they already knew that the Giants had won, so it didn't matter if they won. And then So they went for the 60-yarder. I think that's how it played out. I think if the Giants had lost, they probably wouldn't have tried for that kick. They probably would have went for it on fourth.
Whew, man,
Probably. Or they would have played so poorly, Craig, they wouldn't have even been in position to get to that kick.
yeah, that's what I don't think, because didn't JT play the whole game? I don't think he plays the whole game if
Well, he had 26 carries.
yeah, it just, man, you guys had this one 100% right. You guys all had like a really ugly game. I didn't account for the fact that I thought that I just thought the Raiders were going to tank this one. But I still had them getting like 17 points, I think, and I had the Chiefs kind of dominating a little bit. And it definitely was not that. Okie dokie, I think he was out of the game, I believe, in the second half, and Chiefs did not look good. It was really an ugly game all
Who is
around.
the guy? Shane Buechele?
It's Bobby Boucher's son.
Oh my God. Never heard of him.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, how weird is it at the end of the season looking up and seeing that the Chiefs were 6-11?
Yeah, it is weird. By the way, a 14-12 game. I had 14-9. Al, you had 12-9.
Yeah.
Joe had 20-7. Brandon, you had 28-13. But we were all wrong. We all picked Kansas City.
Yep.
We all just, we assumed that Vegas wasn't going to play anybody, and they kind of didn't, but I don't know. I don't know what to think. Aiden O'Connell came back in.
Well, they secured the victory by yanking Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, he was 1 for 4.
He went 1 for 4 for 3 yards and a pick, and they said, "All right, that's enough. We've
yeah."
Even we can't stomach playing you.
That's right. That's right. Even we can't stomach. That's a great quote.
All right. Not a whole lot there to discuss, I don't think. So let's move on.
All right.
Rams 37, Cardinals 20. Stafford another 259, 4 touchdowns, no picks. It seems like he does that every week.
Beast.
Yeah, crazy good game for him. I don't know if we want to discuss this at the end as well, but I think Stafford strengthened his MVP case.
For sure.
Game was close for a while, but the Rams turned on the gas in the second half. They're enough of this. So, the Rams just dominated this one after that.
Yeah, Rams, better team, played awesome once they put on the afterburners. And
can anybody check the MVP odds? Because last week Drake May
I checked, and Stafford's back as the favorite.
Yeah, Stafford's the favorite now.
Yeah, he's but it's close. He's like depending where you look, he's somewhere around a minus 100, 150 in that range. And then what's his face? Drake May is about plus 100, 150. So that's about as close as it gets, other than a pick'em.
Okay. Yeah, I think he's probably going to get it. Anyway, yeah, this is the Rams looking good. Looking good going into the playoffs and securing, what are they? They're the number 5.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. The thing is,
they needed to feel, they had their roughest stretch of the season the last the 2 weeks prior to this. And I think this just helps them feel good going into the playoffs, because I think everybody knows they're a good team. They just had a little stumble there at the end. And to me, they're still one of the more scary teams in either conference. So I'm curious to see falling back and losing the division did not help their cause, because they're going to have to battle through the playoffs now.
Well, here's another thing too: is they're not tremendous on the road. I think 4 of their 5 losses are on the road.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a fair point, man. Yeah, absolutely.
They're going to have to go on the road to win this.
Yeah, even bigger case for why they needed to get that division. So, yeah, that's a fair point.
All right. The other team that was vying for the number 1 seed in the AFC is the Patriots. They won their game, but so did Denver. So the Broncos are the number 1 seed. Patriots are number 2. But still, a year where they went 14-3. Come on. And Ramondre Stevenson, he's got to be the guy. Or, well, no, I'm sorry. Travion Henderson's got to be the guy with 53 yards and 2 touchdowns, but Stevenson had 131 yards and 2. I don't think they're going to quit them. I think they're going to go in with them into the playoffs and probably next year too. Keep the same team.
There's no reason not to. There's hardly any, the Saquon Barkleys of the world and the Jonathan Taylors are few and far between anymore. And most teams use some kind of two-headed attack. And plus they paid, I've said it a bunch of times this season, but they paid Ramondre Stevenson a lot of money a year ago for a running back anymore in the NFL. So he is not going to just sit around. And he can play, you know what I mean? He fumbles the ball like 5 times a year. But he can put up a game like this here and there, and he's a decent player. I like Travion Henderson better. He would be the number one guy in my perfect world. But, I think it's going to be a 1A, 1B situation for at least next year yet. It's going to be annoying enough in fantasy that you're going to have to worry about figuring it out from time to time.
Yeah, credit to Vrabel for kind of sticking with him. At the beginning of the year, Ramondre was kind of out of the, they were starting to bench him basically, and seemed like Vrabel was like, all right, well, you lost a few fumbles and everything, but we're not going to give up on you. So it's a nice two-headed attack.
Okay. It is. I agree.
Yeah, the Dolphins kind of went out with a whimper to end their year here, 7-10. But you know what? They weren't a dumpster fire. I thought they were going to be a complete disaster early in the year where they were really going through the struggles and losing every game. I just thought they were going to be one of the worst teams in the league. And they rebounded pretty nicely, actually. The last, 2 months or so, not bad.
Yeah, they had a little resurgence for sure. It seemed like Hill, Tyreek going down and some of their skill guys going down and Tua not playing well. But they kind of found their identity a little bit towards the end, but just started playing some better teams. So couldn't really do it all the way down the stretch.
Although the total yardage was pretty big of a difference, 457 and 180.
Yeah, that's pretty extreme. Yes. Oh man. Yeah, this is a heck of a year for the Patriots. We've talked about their schedule. It is what it is. They did what they had to do. And 14-3, I don't care what your schedule is impressive. Heck of a job by Vrabel in his rookie season with the Patriots. And Drake May, Drake. They're now, I've been hearing all the people talking about it now, Craig, ever since you brought up his nickname.
Drake May.
Yes, that's how the one woman on NFL Network was going, Drake May. She said it 17 times during the highlights. And I was like, oh man, this is a thing.
Yep.
But yeah, what a year by them. Drake May's established himself as one of the top quarterbacks in the entire league. He could win the MVP. There's a case to be made. There's a pretty good case to be made for Drake May if you want to make it. I'm a Stafford guy, but you can make a case for May. I won't scoff.
He's got the numbers. He's there.
Yeah, the only thing he doesn't have is he's 10 touchdowns, more actually, 13 touchdowns or so behind Stafford. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's where the decision becomes apparent for me. But Stafford threw the ball 100 times more. So there is a good case to be made. So regardless, the fact that we're talking about a second-year quarterback for the Patriots after what that franchise has gone through since the end of the Belichick era, during the end of the Belichick era, and just falling into one of the worst teams in football for the last couple of years is astonishing. So credit to the everybody involved with that. Really big stuff. And McDaniel saving his job with how the Dolphins ended up the season is another big story too. That guy looked like he was heading for the scrap heap. I thought he was going to get fired when they fired the GM.
Yeah.
All right. Al, take it away. By the way, we all got the New England game right, and we all got this game we got wrong, except for Joe. He picked Washington. Washington 24, Eagles 17, go.
Okay. So the way things shaped up after week 17 was the number 2 seed was available. The Eagles were one of 2 teams that had a chance to get it. One of those teams, played their starters. They didn't end up winning the game, but they seemed to have at least put in the effort. And the other team said, nah. That team was the Eagles. Now, There is some logic to why they did it, and I can see both sides of it. I just don't like it personally. But I can see both sides of it. The logic is, and the best case to be made for it, and it's a pretty good case, is the last 2 times they rested their starters in the last week of the season, they went to the Super Bowl.
Okay.
And that's the entire reason Nick Sirianni decided to do it, because he thought that resting their guys was more valuable than the number 2 seed. Now, you can and I will dispute that logic, but that's why they did it.
Yeah, I don't like that. I want the number 2 seed.
I'm with you, man. Listen, it's a big difference. To me anyway. I mean, the way the Packers ended up the season, it's a huge difference between them and the 49ers right now.
Yeah, and not only that, but if you have to end up playing,
Chicago
in Chicago, or Seattle in Seattle, you don't want to do that.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to Seattle no matter what, but if you play anybody but Seattle, yep. I mean, it's, if you play Chicago now, you're going to freaking Chicago,
Yeah, Chicago, that game was not a good game for you guys at all last time you played them.
No.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't follow the logic. I mean, like you said, I see it, but I don't like it.
Yeah, I understand it. It's do you want your team to be at what the absolute healthiest? Now, none of your important guys really were injured prior to this. So it's like, do you want your team to be the healthiest, or do you want the easier competition? So to speak, it doesn't necessarily line up completely like that, but I get the logic. But to me, it's better to try on the last game of the season to, if you have something to play for, to, lock in that number 2 seed, to have as many games at home as you can. That to me makes a little bit more sense.
What's really fascinating to me is that the New York Giants have a better winning mentality in the last 2 weeks of the football season than the Philadelphia Eagles.
Well, that's the only time we can beat the Eagles. We did beat them this year, but the only time we can really beat them in the past years is on the last 2 weeks of the season. So,
greatest team in the history of football is the Giants when they're losing draft position.
Yep. So funny, man. That is such a good quote. Yes, I love it. So yeah, other than that, the only other thing I want to say about this game is this game was right there to be won anyway. Having said all that, Tanner McKee, who I've been very excited about, underwhelmed, and it was disappointing to see, because they could have won this game a couple different ways, including the last drive when they were driving down and there was a guy wide open that he missed, just to keep the drive going. It wasn't going to get him a touchdown or anything. It wasn't a lock that they were going to tie the game, but it was a game over with 40 seconds left instead of game over as you're still driving or potentially tying.
Yeah, 21 for 40, not good enough.
Yeah. He's I like him, but this was not what I was expecting to see. So now he was playing with the JV version of the Eagles. I mean, A.J. Brown didn't play a snap. Devontae Smith played 3 or 4 snaps until they got him 1,000 yards, and then he missed most of the game. He played maybe the first drive and a half. So he was playing with, his number 1 receiver was, oh God, I always do this. The guy from Penn State, who's their number 3 receiver, who doesn't do anything. Dang it. He was Dotson, Jahan Dotson.
Dotson, yeah.
Yeah, he was playing with Jahan Dotson as his number 1 receiver, so I'll cut him a little slack. But this loss was entirely on Nick Sirianni to me, and we'll see if listen, if they go 3 for 3 in getting to the Super Bowl and they rest in Week 18, you'll never hear me complain about a decision he makes at the end of the season again. But
is there a hot seat if they go out in round 1?
Say that again?
Is there a hot seat for Sirianni if they go out in round 1?
No chance.
Nope.
It's really interesting to me, Sirianni's
good question
trajectory as a coach, because it's one of those things where he's won a ton of games. He has a Super Bowl.
And they hate him. They hate him with a passion.
So interesting.
Yeah, Nick Sirianni is right now is in like the top 3 most successful coaches in their first 5 seasons in the history of the NFL.
Yeah, and they're going to be calling for his job. I mean, I don't know if they probably won't do it, but I'm telling you, if they lose this weekend, there will be a outcry from Eagles fans calling for his job.
Oh, no doubt. And that's one of the joys in living in the Philly area, being a Philly sports fan, is there is no lack of hysterical idiots.
Yeah, funny thing I heard about the whole thing we were talking about in terms of playing your starters versus not. A podcast, I'm not sure which one I was listening to, basically said, well, maybe the Eagles wanted to lose because their fans are so harsh. It might be easier playing it in the opponent's stadium, if they have a bad
Oh
first
my
half,
God.
and
Jeez.
everybody's just booing, Sirianni or Hurts or whatever.
Yeah. If they get like a field goal at halftime as they're walking off, they're gonna get booed.
That's so funny, man.
So, yeah, I mean, obviously they would still play at home the first game, but if it's in the conference championships or whatever, or the semis, then they just kind of have a bad first half and be tough for them to come back from it.
That's great. Oh, that's great. Yeah. Yeah. That's, listen, there's, if you look at the things Sirianni's accomplished in his first 5 years as a head coach in the NFL, now listen, he's an odd dude, man. He's done some weird things, and he makes it hard to like him at times because he's a weird guy. Last year when they won the Super Bowl, he's yelling at people in the stands during games, Like, that was one of the strangest things I ever saw. And then, in that season that he did that, he's a Super Bowl winning head coach.
Do you think it's a lot they get rid of the OC's name that you won't learn?
Well, okay. So I was looking just for Eagles news to talk about this, anything that might be interesting about this game or next week's game, yesterday. And one of the headlines was, and I have it pulled up, let me just pull it up so I don't misquote it, is and I refuse to say his name, will the Eagles offensive coordinator be able to salvage his job with a good postseason?
So that means if it's not, he's out.
That's this reporter's take, but I don't think it's a crazy take at all. I personally, if they don't look good on offense in the playoffs, that could come in a loss. That could come in a first round exit. But if they don't look good on offense in the playoffs, he should be fired before they're out of the locker rooms. Because he was awful this year. So if he doesn't show some improvement in the playoffs, to me, he should be toast. Now, it would be great if they went and won the Super Bowl with this guy, and then I have to learn his name, and they bring him back, and he's the offensive coordinator for the next 10 years. But I don't think I'm going to have to worry about that, but we'll see.
Kind of seems like one of those things where either A.J. Brown has to go or he has to go, because A.J. Brown was so critical of him this year. So
yeah, and I don't blame. Listen, a lot of people got on AJ this year, and I get it from an outside perspective. But to me, everything that guy said was right and accurate. And I have zero issue with anything AJ Brown this year. I have all the issue in the world with the Home Alone Kevin something offensive coordinator.
he who shall not be named.
So yeah, I don't have a whole lot to add about this one other than, we'll see. I can't wait to talk about in the next couple of weeks how this decision panned out.
Okay, we have one more game to get to, and are you kidding me? We picked this game last week, and Al, you put it perfectly. Everything was pointing towards Baltimore. Everything. And that was why you picked Pittsburgh.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And that's why I picked Pittsburgh. We got it right. Obviously, Joe and Brandon got it wrong picking Baltimore. Pittsburgh wins 26-24 on a last-second field goal miss by Baltimore. My God.
Incredible.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe it. I thought that was over. I thought that was over like 5 times before it actually.
Yeah, it looked like it was. It was an incredible game to watch. But yeah, I picked the Steelers as my upset pick because I just felt like the Ravens. There's a good chance that something was going to go wrong, as it has in the number of years, even though it seemed to me like they were the superior team. That back and forth at the end of the game was just crazy. Lamar in the fourth quarter, even though a couple of those throws were to wide open receivers, but that one fourth down throw was incredible. He did enough to win. Rodgers, that last drive, the Pittsburgh drive where they came back in like 30 seconds, that was crazy as well. But to me, this was just the Ravens choking it again. They had the ability. Luke just missed the kick. And to be honest, as I alluded to earlier, I really think that they still had a timeout. They still had some time left on the clock. They should have tried to get a little bit closer. Even if they couldn't, they still should have tried to. And I think they failed to. I mean, I think that kick was probably still going to be bad either way, but you try to get as close as you can, give your rookie kicker as good of an opportunity as you can. So Baltimore choked away another one, unfortunately, and we'll get to it, but cost Harbaugh's job.
Yeah, well put. I agree with everything you just said. That you should try and get every yard you can before you kick the field goal, man. If you're inside the 20-yard line, maybe it's a different story. Certainly inside the 10, but it's a 44-yard freaking field goal. I know we're in the era, like we said, of 60-yarders getting made regularly, but that's still something that guys, even good kickers, miss 2 or 3 of those a year. You know what I mean?
And you need to. It's a rookie kicker as well.
It's a great point.
You have Derrick Henry. Just run him up the middle one more, and you had a timeout. Just run him up the middle one more time, get a few more yards, call your timeout, and then kick it. They just wasted the last 7 or 8 seconds that they had, whatever it was, where they could have gotten one more play and then called the timeout, and they didn't do it. I don't understand. It doesn't add up to me.
No, I agree. I agree.
That was just a bonehead decision. The 2 throws to Zay Flowers, though, wow. I mean,
beautiful.
How does Pittsburgh give that up back to back?
Yeah. Oh, by the way, we never talked about this. Did you guys see that the Steelers released Darius Slay about a month ago?
No.
Yeah, I did at the time.
Darius Slay, and I think he got picked up by the Bills.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I believe so.
Let me make sure I'm right about that. Yeah. Yeah, and I don't think he's played yet because he was dinged up in Pittsburgh, but I'm not 100% on that. But I meant to mention that a couple weeks back, and I forgot. What was that?
I said the Bills lost a corner too, I believe, right? So
yeah, there was a reason they brought him because they put a claim in for him when the Steelers released him. So yeah, I just found that I thought that was interesting, and I meant to mention it a couple weeks ago. You made me think of it when you were talking about how did they give up those two pass plays in a row.
Well,
yeah, this was an awesome game. What a great game to end the regular season with. That was awesome the way they did the schedule where they could put whatever game wherever they wanted apparently, and I'm all for it.
Yeah, the schedule was a W for the NFL for sure. They worked it well the last week.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you can't expect, especially after coming off a crazy year, they probably would have hoped for a lot more close, more playoff implications. But the games that did have playoff implications were great.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely.
Okay. Let's just wrap up the season with our overall picks. Joe was 169 and 103. Al, you were 170 and 102. And I was 172 and 100. And
man, that was close.
That was close.
Wow.
And Brandon was 41 and 23 with a much better winning percentage than all 3 of us.
Yeah, well done, Brandon.
Small sample size, but yeah, it's been great, man, picking these games every week, but it's been definitely an unpredictable year.
Yep. And by the way, you mentioned it, Brandon, we all actually got our upset pick right for week 18. I had the Giants, Al and Joe had Detroit, and you had Pittsburgh. We all got that right.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, yep.
Okay, so we got to do the coaches. Why don't we do that in the next one?
Yeah, that works. Yep.
Because we have less games to go through anyway for the wild card round, so it won't be as long. So we'll do the wild card round predictions, game picks. We'll do our power rankings for all 14 playoff teams, and we'll go over the NFL coaching situation.
That's good. Love it.
Okay, then. So make sure you guys join us for that. Again, our viewership, I thank everybody who's been tuning in. Our viewership went up again, like a significant margin. So we're going to keep trying to ride the wave. And guys, have anything else to add?
No, thank you everybody for listening, man. And can't wait to talk about the playoffs.